Welcome. Get in here. Welcome to Conservative Mama Live. We're live, so that means I can't mess up because it's live. And I could say something that I didn't mean to say, and then I can't take it back because I'm live. That's what makes this so crazy. This has got a lot of lemon in it. I do lemon water and little extra lemon in there. Okay. Hey guys, welcome. Let me just see who's on here. I'm trying to start to do just kind of like a weekly live, a weekly like, hey, what's up? Give you guys a rundown. I know it can be really busy. Oh, here I am. Okay. I know it can be really busy. Like we're busy. It's crazy summertime. And I thought, you know what? Let's just kind of give the rundown. Let's give the rundown, tell people what's going on, what's not going on. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you guys had a good, happy 4th of July. Shout out to my supporters. Thank you so much for supporting. I'm on Facebook right now and YouTube. So hello, YouTube. People on YouTube. Thank you so much for contributing last week. That was really a blessing. I appreciate everybody that's contributing and blessing and PayPal. I have a PayPal too. If you want to continue this, please support, because lots of times you're not getting the real news from the mainstream media. Of course you're not. You're not getting any real news from the mainstream media. Oh, and that's my website. That tells me I need to write another blog. Because but I did do one on Rob. Oh, and a shout out to Rob. Sorry. Okay. So I can see myself. I can see like what's going on in the feed, and then I can see Rob, my producer, and Rob is producing this whole thing. Rob Hicks with Hicks Video. He's awesome. If you guys need any kind of editing, video work, Zoom conferencing, all of that, this is Rob. Oh, there he is. You're saying hey with his videos. But he helps me behind the scenes. And I'm always like texting him because I don't know. How do you do this? And he's like, Rachel, it's not that hard. I make this look easy. And he does. So shout out to Rob. Thank you, Rob. But what I was saying something. Oh, I don't know what I was going to say. Anyways, happy to have you guys on here. What now? What'd you say? Oh, yes. Yeah. People are contributing. Oh, and I also, for those watching, I am looking to get some Conservative Mama apparel, like merchandise made. But I want to do American-made quality, made in the USA stuff. So if you have someone that does that, or if you yourself does that, I would love to team up with you, and get some stuff going and made. I also speak. Yes, Rob's reminding me that I do some speaking. Yes, I do speaking. I travel. I also can zoom in to your life if you're having some kind of an event as well. And I consult candidates. I actually kind of tweeted to a candidate earlier today on Twitter because I'm like, oh my gosh, I could so help you, especially here in Colorado, because in order to win Colorado, you have to win the mom vote. The mom vote is essential. And this Democrat here running for Senate it's a joke. He's a total joke. And there's so much dirt I have on this guy, and there's so much satire that could be done. And people listen to satire. And that's the one thing that I absolutely am passionate about. That's what I do. It even makes the anti-liberal trolls that are probably trolling me right now. That's why they're on my page, because the satire, because of the comedy. And that's my passion. That's what I love. That's my background, in case you didn't know. I did a lot of improv, satire, comedy back in the day. But now I'm a mom, totally focused on my kids and saving America. Okay, here we go. So what I wanted to talk about today, and this actually goes along with the mom vote, is sadly just horrible news to report. 150 were wounded in the U.S. over this last July 4th weekend. 150 were wounded, 24 dead. Of that, 6 children were killed, ages 6 to 14. They were doing simple things like riding in their car with their parent, playing in their backyard, playing with friends at a mall. This is the Democrats' America right now that you're witnessing. This is complete and total chaos, complete and total anarchy. Not one Democrat has come out and spoke up against this, has said that we need to stop this complete total anarchy that we're witnessing right now in our country. Most of this taking place in Democrat-run cities with Democrat mayors and Democrat city councils. But no one's saying this. No one's calling these people out. And these people that are Democrats are completely silent. They're totally silent as we're watching children being murdered for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's not America. That's not what we stand for as Americans. That's not what we have that's not what we fought and died and bled for innocent children to be murdered and killed because they're playing in their backyard. Okay. Enough of this stuff. And I'm telling you right now, politicians, candidates running, you want to win, promise safety. Because the mom vote is huge. The mom vote is what determines who's president, who sits in the Oval Office. And I'm telling you right now, moms out there don't want to live in fear. Moms don't want to be afraid to take their kids to the pool, to have their kids playing in the backyard, to have their kids riding with a friend, to have kids riding bikes, and suddenly, bam, they're in the wrong place at the wrong time because of the total and complete chaos that we're witnessing right now in our country. You promise safety. You declare law and order. That's why you vote for President Trump, because he is the one standing like a lone ranger out there declaring law and order to not defund our police. Oh my gosh. 150 wounded, and Democrats want to defund the police. I mean, just think about that right now. 911, what's your emergency? Oh, sorry, I'm going to put you on hold. We're having an influx of calls. We have no one to respond to your emergency because the Democrats have defunded the police. It's just absolute absurdity. I honestly can't even believe that I'm sitting here right now talking about people that want to defund our security as Americans, people that want to take away the people that protect us, because that's what the Democrats want. They want to take away your protection. And then on top of that, they want to remove the Second Amendment. So they want to disarm you from being able to protect yourself. And then if you're in danger, you can't call the police to help you. What kind of America is that? And as a mom, I don't care if you're a Democrat, a liberal, a leftist, a progressive, whatever. You want your kids safe. You want your kids to be able to play and be kids and not have to worry about total and complete crime taking place all over the place right now. So my heart goes out to the mothers and the fathers that lost their children this weekend. Shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened. So that's that. Just tears your heart out. And you know what's really sick is, where is Black Lives Matter? Honestly, where is Black Lives Matter right now? The children that were killed, they were Black children. Where is Black Lives Matter? Where is your marching? Where is your protest for these children that lost their lives? You're silent because you don't care about Black lives. You're a Marxist organization. You're a Marxist movement fighting for anarchy to eventually call everybody you want so much chaos, you Black Lives Matter Marxist movement. That's what you want, where let's just call you what you are. You're a Black Lives Marxist movement that wants to cause so much anarchy, so much death, so much instability, so much division that the people cry out for more government. And then you usher in your communism. That's your goal. Let's call you out, because if you really cared about kids, you'd be marching in the street for these children that lost their lives over this last weekend. But you're not. Also, Black Lives Matter. They're now tearing down statues of Frederick Douglass. Yeah, like, okay. Frederick Douglass, in case you don't know, is like more than Martin Luther King, okay? This guy was a slave. He escaped slavery, became an incredible author, an abolitionist, fought for the 13th Amendment, which freed the slaves, then fought for the 15th Amendment, which gave black people, Black men, the right to vote in America. And then also helped Elizabeth Cady Stanton with the 19th Amendment until she broke off with that because she didn't agree with him on the 15th. It's a long story. Study your history. That should perk your interest right there. But he was an incredible man, a preacher, an author, and an abolitionist, a strong Christian, and they tore a statue down. What was it? It's in New York, Rochester, New York. They tore a statue down. Why? Because they don't want anyone to know. They don't want anyone to know our history. They don't want anyone to know about Frederick Douglass, how he was a Christian, that his faith in God is what led him to do a lot of the stuff that he did, his fight for equality. They don't want anyone to know this. So they just tear down they're just tearing down history. It has nothing. And what I want to ask, because how far we've come. Okay. This all started, remember, George Floyd, right? He died. It was right before Memorial Day weekend, was it, Rob? And he lost his life unjustly, totally a horrible situation. Police officer brutally killed him, murdered him. And to be honest, I don't even know if this has anything to do with race. We're still waiting on that. We're still waiting for the facts, because just because a black person kills a white person, or a white person kills a black person, or a yellow person, or whatever color skin you are, or whatever race you are, it not necessarily immediately has to do with race. I don't know why we jump to immediately it's race issue. It could just be two guys that knew each other, that hated each other. It could just be a seriously psycho, nutty police officer that has lost his mind. That's a brutal killer. We don't know. But immediately it went to race, and we started police brutality, and that whole thing went. It was, oh my gosh, and we hate police, and oh my gosh, and defund the police. And then we started tearing down statues, just tearing down statues of General Robert E. Lee because he was a Confederate, and nobody wants to know that the Confederates then moved into the Democrat Party, but nobody wants to talk about that. So let's just tear down the statues so nobody knows history. And now we're now moving into tearing down statues of abolitionists. So how did George Floyd's death move to suddenly we're tearing down statues of Frederick Douglass? I mean, could someone answer that for me? Because I'm at this point, you've lost me. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. And the only thing I can come back to is this is a Marxist movement. This is a Black Lives Matter movement that overtook what happened to George Floyd, and they politicized it. They're being financially fueled by the Democrat Party, and they're turning it into a complete Marxist agenda, in the attempt to cause total chaos to usher in communism. Because when you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, and you look at the Communist Manifesto and the goals for a communist a communist movement to take over a country, they align. They completely align. You can go to their website and read it. This is not something I'm making up. They are avowed Marxists. The leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, they are self-avowed. There's pictures of them with Hugo Chavez. They're Marxists. Okay, Marxists are communists. So put it together, and which is so bizarre. Like I've said this before, Karl Marx was racist. So it just doesn't make any sense. And a side note. Karl Marx was a huge fan of Darwin, Charles Darwin. And when you study Charles Darwin, do you guys know this? He was against slavery, which is interesting, but he did think that his race was supreme to other races. And when you study, like it shows, like he really thought that other races were inferior to his race. And that's what our kids learn in school. They learn evolution from Charles Darwin. Like, that should give you pause. They're studying evolution in schools. Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, does the progression of man with his race being the supreme race of all, and every other race inferior to his race. Think about that for a few minutes. On a positive note, President Trump. Oh my gosh, thank God for this man. Thank God for this man. I'm telling you, This election, though, is not about Trump, guys. It's not about Trump. People think it's about Trump. This election is about freedom versus communism. We'll write that down. And I've said it before. This election is about freedom versus communism, because that's what we're up against. And Trump is the thing that is standing in between you, your family, your loved ones, and socialism and communism, because that is the leftist goal agenda. That is what they want. And I know I've said this before, is I kind of went into 2020 like, this is going to be an awesome year. I really like when I would be spending time in prayer, I was like, I just feel like we're going to have 2020 vision in 2020. Like we're just going to see things clearly. There's not going to be any gray. It's going to be like, God's call for your life, your future, your dreams. It's going to become clear. It's 2020 vision. And I just continued to pray that. And then just recently, I'm like, well, what happened to 2020, man? What happened to 2020? And God just showed me it is clear vision. We are having incredibly clear vision right now in 2020. In fact, we're having 2020 vision because there's no more muddled gray. There's more like, what do the left really want? Like, what are they up to? Like, what do the left? It's no confusion. It's black and white. It's light and darkness. It's completely clear. It's freedom versus communism. It's freedom versus socialism. It's the ungodly versus the godly. It is so incredibly clear. It's law and order versus chaos and anarchy. It's become crystal clear. There's no confusion. There's no I don't really know. No, we know. We know. Cat's out of the bag. 2020 vision. We've got it. We know what we're up against. We know we have to win this in order to push back this communist agenda. It's completely clear. So get out of your head about Trump, because it's not about Trump. This is communism versus freedom. And we believe in freedom. I mean, we are America. We celebrated the 4th of July. And I was going to mention Trump gave an incredible speech at Mount Rushmore, again in Washington, D.C., just speaking out against this mob-like mentality, this mob mentality that wants to come in and make you feel like you're the Lone Ranger. Like, nah, it's the mob versus me. No, remember this, people. The mob is loud. The mob can be intimidating, but the mob does not outnumber us. Okay? The media might try to make it look like that. The media might be like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Ah! No, they don't outnumber us. And we'll show up on November 3rd, and we will let our voice be heard loud and clear. And a shout out to President Trump for because people are like, oh, Trump needs to do something. He gave 2 incredible speeches about unifying America, about preserving our history so that we do not repeat it. Okay? These people want to destroy our history because they don't want anyone to know our history. And when you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. It happens again and again. If you don't have knowledge and insight about segregation, about slavery, about the KKK, about why the Republican Party was founded, the Republican Party was founded to end slavery. If we don't have the history and the knowledge, then we repeat it. And this is what they're trying to do. And President Trump just said, enough. We're going to preserve our history. We're going to know about our good and our bad side. And that's the thing, because I have these trolls on my page, right? They come to my page, and one of them was like, well, how can you support the founding fathers when they were slaveholders? Like, they had slaves. And I'm like, yeah, they had slaves. But you know what they said that was so incredibly profound in the Declaration of Independence? Is that all men are created equal. And it's the same with the Bible, like Rob and I were talking earlier. When God would give vision, like he gave vision to Daniel in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. Daniel's writing down these visions. He's actually getting visions of the end times. He's actually getting visions of things that have not yet come into play yet, especially in regards to Jerusalem and all sorts of stuff. So he's writing this stuff down. He doesn't really understand like what this means. And then you have Jesus speaking about the future, Jesus speaking about what will come, what's going to come, what will be that we have not yet seen. Okay, then you have Isaiah and Jeremiah, prophets of old that have spoke things that have not yet come into being. And then you have our founding fathers that felt in their heart, God-fearing men that were like, I know that all men are created equal. I know that. I don't know what that looks like. Because at the time when they sat down and they wrote this thing, guys, there was always a kingship. There was always a lord. There was always a master. There was always a someone ruling over someone else throughout our entire world. There were indentured service. There was always somebody trying to hold somebody under them. And here we have our founding fathers. And they're like, I don't know what this looks like, but I know in my heart that all men are created equal. And they began to write it down. And they wrote it down that all men are created equal. And that was like a sounding alarm throughout the world at that time. That's like, what? What does that mean? That's crazy. How can that be? And they wrote it down and they declared it. And from that point on, we began to see the steps taken and taken and taken and taken until Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, declared that all men are free, that ended slavery, that the 13th Amendment, that abolished slavery, the 15th Amendment that gave the black man the right to vote. And from there on, we began to see the progression and the progression and the progression until all men are created equal. And that's where we are as a civilization. That's where we are as a country, and it's absolutely incredible that we have a country so incredibly great that even the people that hate this country refuse to leave it. So, shout out to our founding fathers that knew in their heart, when God begins to move in your heart, and you don't necessarily know what it means at that point in time, but you begin to be led by him. And that's exactly what our founding fathers did. Yes, they have flaws. Who doesn't have flaws? I have flaws. Rob, do you have flaws? I'm sure Rob has a few flaws. Everybody has flaws. Everybody is imperfect. The only perfection is Jesus Christ. So, shout out to our founding fathers. I really quick want to move. How long? When do we start? I don't want to go too long here. I know I've been going for a while. I'm just chatting away. COVID-19. Oh my gosh. COVID. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about COVID, because right now the media is making it sound like, oh my gosh, it's coming back. COVID is out there. It's taking everybody. Everybody's dying. It's horrible. Loud cases. And then you look at the numbers. And you're like, well, the mortality rate is nosediving, okay? And then you start to think, well, why are we talking about cases? Just for instance, I started to do just a little research because I was curious. In 2017 to 2018, there were 45 million cases of the flu. Now think about that. Think about this. Now, and I'm not saying, oh my gosh, people are like, you can't compare COVID-19 to the flu. Like, you can't do that. Why can't I? What if we were to report every flu case from 2017 to 2018? It would have been nonstop news coverage. 45 million flu cases, people. Now, right now, it's important to know that we have, where is it? We're close to 3 million. I have it written down here. It's close to 3 million cases. Is it? Oh gosh, where is it? Now I can't find it. 3 million cases of COVID-19 in the US. I'll have to Google it because I can't find my notes. But I thought I had it. I didn't. I don't know where it is. Well, let's see here. We have, okay. And which is interesting to look at. We only had 24,000 flu cases in 2019 to 2020, but we had like 61,000 flu cases in 2017 to 2018. So there's 40,000 more cases of the flu in 2017 to 2018. That's interesting. And it's interesting to note that, so right now there's 3 million total cases of COVID-19 in the United States. Okay, 3 million. 45 million cases of the flu. Now, it's also important to note 130,000 deaths, okay, in the United States right now from COVID-19. Now, in 2017, and then in 2018, there were like, I think it was close to 80,000 deaths from the flu. Okay. Now, the flu has a vaccine. But no one talks about this. The flu has a vaccine, right? COVID-19 does not have a vaccine. So it's interesting when you start to talk about the numbers, you talk about, and the whole goal here, guys, is the media's pushing cases. They're not going to talk to you. They're not going to talk to you at all about the death and the mortality and how it's going down. It's like trickling out right now. It's totally trickling out. And when they talk about hospitals being full, they won't tell you the percentage of Okay, here we go. Okay, thank you, Carol from YouTube. She just donated. Appreciate that. Awesome. So they won't talk to you about that only a small percentage of those hospitals are full. Like in Texas, they're saying like 90% of the beds are occupied in Texas right now. It's just crazy. And then you're like, well, how many of those are COVID patients? 15%. So they're not telling you numbers. They don't want you to look deeper at the numbers. They don't want you to know like that the mortality rate is going down, even though the cases are going up. And just recently today, like right before I got on here, I heard that the World Health Organization, which we are now no longer a part of, thank God, because it's just a giant globalist agenda. But they actually are reporting now that COVID-19 is pretty much airborne. It's pretty much airborne. So it's airborne. That's what happens with viruses, guys. They work their way through a population. This is why I really think that we should have personally left things open, not overwhelm the hospitals, and continue to live life, because the whole goal here by the Democrats, just, you know, they're going to push cases. They're not going to talk mortality. So I just want to warn you, all you're going to hear is about like, oh my gosh, another case. There's an outbreak of cases. There's so many cases everywhere, and cases. And just nonstop case. But they don't want to talk mortality, and they want to just flood the airwaves, flood social media, flood the TV, whatever, with fear because of the case increase. Cases are going to increase. They're going to increase. They're going to continue to increase. More and more people are going to be getting this virus. They're going to be getting over this virus. They're going to be surviving this virus because the mortality rate is tiny, small. Really impacts the elderly. If you're elderly, take extra precaution. If you're elderly, be careful. But for people that are younger, we have to live life. We have to build a herd immunity, and that's what's happening. We're witnessing herd immunity right now because that's the number of cases. The herd is getting the virus, the herd is shedding the virus, and the herd is moving on. I mean, for example, like I was talking to my sister, one of her really dear friends. She got COVID-19. She's 30 years old. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how's she doing? And she's like, she's fine. I mean, there are symptoms. She struggled a little bit with breathing. It was a little heavy. It was a little bit more labored. And then she partied hard just this last weekend because she's fine. I mean, so this is what's going to happen. This is what, so don't let that. And the whole goal is to cause fear. The whole goal that what they really want, guys, they want to shut down again because the Democrats jumped the gun because they politicize this whole thing. So anybody on there like, oh, Rachel, you're politicizing this. It's not political. It's so political. Are you kidding me? It is so incredibly political. They pulled the gun too early. They caused the shutdown to happen too early. They should have pushed for a shutdown in midsummer because then it would have caused like all of the rockiness heading into the election. So they called for the shutdown. The experts called for the shutdown too early. They called for it back in March, April. And, you know, and now things are starting to open up. People are starting to get the virus. They're being exposed to the virus. They're getting better from the virus. They're moving on. We're now talking about schools being open in this fall, which they should be because for a child's mental health, and this hurts minorities, just so you know that. This hurts the minority communities the most when you shut down schools. And that's what the Democrats want to do. They're trying to shut down schools. So they want to cause another shutdown. Okay. They don't want the economy to flourish. They don't want businesses to start to thrive. They don't want the stock market to start to go back up. This is all political. It's all about November 3rd. I'm stating the obvious. I think everybody on here probably, you're like, yeah, we know that, Rachel. Thanks for stating the obvious. So, but for those that didn't know that, this is political. They're going to talk case numbers. They're not going to talk mortality, and it's all to shut down again. They want to shut everything down again. All right. And also, I wanted to quickly mention there's a video by Scott Jensen. A bunch of people have been sending this to me, so I need to mention it. You guys should watch it too. Dr. Scott Jensen, he's a state senator from Minnesota. He's also a family practitioner. He is being accused by Minnesota. He accused Minnesota for inflating the numbers of deaths. He compared COVID to the flu, and now he's under investigation for medical malpractice or something like that, for simply talking about how they are trying to inflate the numbers. They're trying to push the numbers. Another example, my sister. One of her good friends, I have 4 sisters. So when I say my sister, it's one of my sisters. She was talking to one of her friends. Her friend said, "Hey, I think I might have COVID. I think I have it. I want to go get tested." So she calls up to get an appointment. She ends up, like, something happened. She has to cancel her appointment. Days later, she gets a call from the doctor saying, "You've tested positive for COVID." She never went into the doctor. She never was tested. They're inflating these numbers. It's a lot of it's political, but check this video out by Scott Jensen. He really comes out hard. He's won several awards as like a general practitioner. He's a doctor, and suddenly he's hated because he's speaking the truth. He's like, wait a minute, a lot of this is being politicized. A lot of this is being hyped. We're pushing cases, but we're not talking about the mortality rate. It's a really good video. I really liked it. So I would check it out if you guys have a few minutes. Okay. To close this, because I don't want to take much more of your time. I was just talking away. I want to talk about Governor Newsom and how he has said that churches in California should not be singing, which is just so, protests are fine to continue, but you're not allowed to sing and praise and worship God because it could spread the virus, which is just shocking to me. And to me, that just says it all. Like, that's the godless, because the God I serve will be praised. He will be magnified. He will be lifted high. He will be edified. I will worship. I will shout to the Lord. I will sing to him a new song. And I'm telling you right now, any pastor out there that complies with this, not right. It is better to obey God than man. This is a complete violation of our First Amendment. It's a complete violation of our right to worship freely as a nation, to sing praises and to the God, to our God, to the King of all kings, to the Lord of all lords. I mean, Psalms 98:4. I read this morning, and I was just like, I gotta say this today. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Burst into jubilant song with music. We are to be singing praises to our God. I mean, who would not want God to be praised? Who would not want God to be magnified? Who would not want the Lord of Lords to be lifted high, to be magnified, to be exalted, to be sung to be worshiped, to be edified? Who would not want that? Interesting that Lucifer was a worship leader before he was cast out of heaven, isn't it? Maybe Satan knows the power of worship. And as I've been spending more time in prayer and really meditating on God's word, I believe that a new song is going to arise throughout this nation. I believe that God is pressing on people's hearts that have the ability to sing, that have the ability to write, that have the ability to worship, because praise, that causes the enemy just enraged, man. When you look at Jehoshaphat, I can't say his name, Jehoshaphat, in the Bible, he sent forth the praise and worshipers to take down the enemy. When you look at Joshua and the walls of Jericho, they marched around those walls with trumpets and they sang loud and they took down those walls. It is the power. There is such power in worship. David would sing praises to the Lord with his harp. He would sing a new song, the Psalms filled with worship, loud praises unto the King of all kings. I'm telling we need to be worshiping. We need to be edifying our God. We need to be singing praises to him. And any church that complies with this order, you are in defiance of God. You are not worshiping God. You are obeying man and not God. And I want to give a shout out to his name is Dr. Paul Chappelle. He's a pastor in Lancaster Baptist Church, the mega church in Los Angeles. He said his church will now sing louder than ever. And I love this. I'm like, yes. He said first they told us when to worship. Now they're telling us how to worship. I mean, it is time for the church to wake up. The churches that are shut down in California. Wow. I believe we're going to see anointings removed. I believe that we're going to see God no longer favor on you because you have obeyed God. You have obeyed man and not God. We have to put God first. The church should be open. It should be a place for those that are sick, those who are weary, those that are battling things, those that are battling any kind of mental struggles, physical struggles. The churches should be open. We should be laying our hands on them. We should be praying for them. We should be singing loud praises to Jesus. And all of this is completely contrary to what God wants. Any pastor that's complying with this, you're out of line, man. You're out of line. And if you're complying with Gavin Newsom, you're out of line. I'm telling you right now. It is time for the church to rise up. You have a constitution. Well, Trump is still president before the Democrats try to completely get rid of it and tear it up. We have a constitution that protects our First Amendment. The First Amendment does not go away in the midst of a pandemic. The First Amendment does not go away when, oh my gosh, there's so many cases. The First Amendment is there for us regardless. We are protected by it. We are allowed to freedom. We are allowed our worship and free speech because of our First Amendment. And so any governor out there that's defying this, you fight back because the Constitution is the law of the land, not the governor, the Constitution. You're protected under that Constitution. So we need to continue to worship and sing praises. And I mean, check it out, man. Who wouldn't want you to be singing praises? I mean, that's so not God. Anyways, so that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. Keep speaking up, keep speaking out, be a voice. Don't bow down to the mob. Don't be intimidated. As we head into this election, guys, it's going to get nuttier and nuttier. Hold fast to God. Spend time praying. Spend time also volunteering. Volunteer for Republican candidates in your area. Volunteer, knock doors, make phone calls, work for a campaign. Those are things that you can do. Because sometimes right now, when it feels really crazy and it feels like out of control and you're like, well, what can I do? What can I do? You can do stuff like that. You can knock doors. You can make phone calls if you're at home as a mom. I remember, I've worked on campaigns where literally kids are taking a nap. I'm making phone calls. I'm making phone calls for candidates. Hey, do you have your ballot? Are you going to vote? Like all of that stuff. We can do that. We can do that. So those are things you can do. Put a sign in your yard. Have a family or a friend over and converse with them. Just back and forth in a nice way, but ask them questions because we vote on policy. And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that. At the end of the day, this isn't about Trump. This is about freedom versus communism. This is about you holding fast to your liberties and your freedom, or you just complying. So I'm getting a phone call. It's my dad. Obviously, my dad's not watching this. So Thanks, Dad. But I just want to wish you guys a wonderful week. I also do radio on Thursdays. I'll put a little reminder on there for you guys. Thank you again for your support. You all are awesome. And just keep being a voice. Keep having a say. Don't be intimidated. You know, history is on our side. The facts are on our side. Statistics are on our side. And got this. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.